Hello, and welcome to my fan theories of Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've read this book, and what I've always wanted to do is give kind of my fan theories and thoughts about book one, so that whether you're watching this now or you're watching this 10 years from now, you can kind of see what people thought after they read book one. So, first thing I want to talk about is wisdom. My theory is that Carl has a much higher wisdom than Donut. Some things, evidence I can provide is that Mordecai definitely says wisdom is a stat that can change your personality. And Donut, even after she has high intelligence, still kind of makes rash decisions, impulsive decisions by putting the crown on her head and just doing things without really thinking them through. Versus Carl likes to be really careful and almost kind of makes the plans, even though Donut's the party lead. So my theory is that Carl has a much higher wisdom than Donut. Okay, my second theory slash thoughts is that Carl's dad is abusive. Um, he mentions that his mom locks him in the basement while his dad is drunk with his friends. That is not non-abusive behavior. I'm guessing he gets drunk and does something physical. Anyway, even though Carl doesn't seem to think his dad was bad, I think his dad was definitely abusive in some way. Another evidence towards this is Carl associates tattoos with like bad people, but then specifically names his dad in bad people. So yeah, something's going on with his dad. Um, Definitely abusive in my opinion. Third thing I want to talk about is the dungeon. We know the dungeon opened early. I don't really have a theory. I just want to talk about some of my ideas. Um, we know it started early because also Mordecai and the other NPCs seem to be very surprised with it opening. And we know this is supposed to be a very thought out and planned event. So the fact that they're surprised that it's opening and haven't been told seems like a flaw. I also think that it was supposed to be daytime in Seattle when the crawl started. Because Carl mentions there's a lot of stairwells around him, but there's no people. And my only explanation for that is that it was supposed to be daytime in Seattle. I think the Pacific Ocean was supposed to be mostly nighttime. It's the biggest ocean. Sorry, Hawaii and Pacific Islands would have been crushed. But I think the Pacific Ocean would have been dark and the rest of the world would have been during the day. I'm not really sure what to do with that theory. That's just my thoughts. I think Seattle was supposed to be awake when the dungeon started. Next is Mordecai and Odette. Something is definitely going on there. I think Mordecai somehow blames Odette for getting his brother killed. Odette says that pushed him too far, and I think either Odette was, I was gonna say in the same party as Mordecai, but I think she was advising Mordecai because she's definitely out of whatever indentured enslavement this syndicate has going on. So I think maybe she was his tutorial guild person, and for whatever reason, Mordecai blames Odette for getting his brother killed. I hope we get more on that. I hope I'm not right, but I have a something. There's a story there. There's a story there. Okay, last but not least, I want to talk about Agatha. I is she a plant? What is going on with her? I'm just gonna go. I wrote down my thoughts. I'm gonna go down what I have here. One, she has not gone into to a tutorial guild. We know this because she doesn't have any inventory equipped. Um, I think that's the really only explanation. I assume she has not gone into a tutorial guild on the second floor. Um, but with that, she must have been somewhere to stay safe on the second floor. And we know she can't use a safe room because Carl and Mordecai's first interaction on the first floor, you have to go through a tutorial guild in order to like access everything. So I think she used the shield from the Valte Corp um to stay protected. But like literally what is up with her? The video feed went out when Agatha approached Carl and Donut at the end of floor two. So something suspicious is happening. And also, she wasn't in the boss recap. So I'm thinking that maybe in part of the game, like in order to be truly part of the game, players have to go through the tutorial guild to get like their tracker or whatever. And because Agatha didn't, she's like in the game, but is somehow exempt from certain rules. Not sure how that works with the AI. But I'm guessing something happened was when Borant was gonna release the game early, she got told, and she was like, "Shoot, I need a cover for being like an old lady going into the dungeon." So I think she definitely started that fire on purpose. Got all of the old people to come out, went in the dungeon with them as a cover. Obviously, has no need to stay with them. Isn't part of their group. She is her own person, as we saw from the boss fight, and goes off on her own. But she needed that cover. And I think that is also why she didn't immediately go down to the third floor, because the stairwell was right there. We know that from Carl and Donut. But I think it'd be very suspicious if this old lady just immediately went to the stairwell. So I think I don't know. She had to stay safe until almost the end and then join. Not sure what's going up with Agatha. I do hope we kind of get the story. Is she a plant from the Valcorp? We know the Valcorp is trying to get money from Born. That's why Born started the season early. Yeah, I'm just curious about that. Okay, this next part, it's going to be theories, but it's going to involve things that Matt has said or just other context clues provided. So if you just want to do stuff based on the book, I'd stop here. Maybe write down some of your own comments and thoughts. Okay, here are some things I'm curious about. The book has these little skulls on it. I'm very curious if those have significance. There's like 2 black skulls and 1 see-through skull. So I'm very curious about that, if that means anything. We also know currently there are 8 books out, and Matt has said that there's going to be kind of one more story, a book 9, but it's going to be split into a part 1 and a part 2. So 10 books, but like 9 stories. And this took place over 2 floors, first and second floor. So 9 books, 2 floors a book, that's 18 floors. So I'm very curious. Carl and Donut will make it to floor 18. And how they'll get there, and what that'll look like, if they will reclaim Earth. Yeah, you will not break me. That's what Carl's mantra is. And that is all. Those are my theories and thoughts on book 1. This was a great book. I'm hoping you've read it if you've made it this far in the video. Please keep the comments to book 1, even if you've read further or you're watching this back and reading the comments back. Don't put any spoilers. I'll hopefully make a book 2 video and make more comments and respond to maybe some of these things if I was right or if I was wrong. But yeah, thank you. Bye.